everyone, this is Mike Mullis from the original Next Level Gaming, coming at you with another video game review.
And today we're talking about Need for Speed, EA's latest installment in their 21-year-old racing franchise. This one's been developed by Ghost Games and it's out for the PS4 and Xbox One. Now, after the lukewarm reception for Need for Speed Rivals that came out during the launch of the new-gen consoles, EA and Ghost Games decided they wanted to take things back to the drawing board and actually reboot the series. And so in rebooting the series, they also rebooted the name, and now it's just called Need for Speed. Kind of like the Fast and the Furious, where it got 4 or 5 different names, and then at one point, the movie was just called Fast and Furious, and now it's just called Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7, so on. So, they're trying to do the name change here, and hope that the game reboots and everybody's happy. For the most part, it's not a bad game. It's got some rough edges, but there's some good things about it that they can draw on for future installments. So Ghost Games goes back to the drawing board to try to figure out what they want to make the focal point of the game. So what they came up with was some of the ideas that they used in Rivals, such as an open world. You have an entire city map, and you can basically go where you want, do what you want. And there's a story mode behind it. And in that story mode, there are various objectives that you can accomplish. And if you don't want to do that right away, you could just travel around the city, trying to find people to race online, trying to find collectibles such as vistas and places you can do donuts and things like that. Now, believe it or not, there really is a story here. And even though there's a lot of different parts of the story, it all kind of culminates into a number of full motion video scenes that, while pretty corny, are actually something that's enjoyable to follow. Basically, you are a hotshot driver that just happens to find the right crew that wants to just drive around the city and race, while trying to stay away from the cops and trying to keep a low profile. Well, as any good racing story would have, that doesn't always happen. And so not only will you engage in races around the world or around the city and try to do some of the objective-based things, as with any good Need for Speed game, you're going to get chased by the cops here and there. Alright, so let's start with the obvious. Graphically, the game actually is a mixture of unbelievably fantastic looking and ho-hum. And what I mean by that is, the actual on-screen work is very well done by Ghost Games. It actually, to me, looks better than Rivals did, and the open world really does create this very vast and long places to drive, not unlike Forza Horizon 2. However, the problem that I have in the graphics is that it's all night driving. Unlike other racing games, they have focused on basically doing this underground racing all at night. Now, I understand that that's when underground racing usually happens, but there's no day cycle at all. There's a dusk cycle, but it goes basically dusk to night, and so there's no real sense of time of day. There's no real sense of how long you've invested into the game. Also, it also seems like the game is raining all the time, because the road, while it looks, very nice, also always looks wet. And it always looks like you're raining. The cars themselves look pretty decent, and there are a few to choose from. You can purchase them throughout the game by, of course, objectives and winning races, getting away from the cops and earning money, and so on and so forth. And while the cars themselves look pretty nice, the only thing that I don't like about the camera views is that there is no cockpit view. You have a bonnet view, you of course have the full screen view, and you have 3 different chase car views. However, no cockpit. And that's one of my favorite modes to play in when I'm doing a racing game. It's just not here. Audio is also somewhat of a mixed bag. Car sounds are fine. Now, I'm not one that can pick up the difference between car engine sounds and things like that. And, so that all sounds perfectly fine, tires squealing and things like that. However, the music is kind of meh. just leaves a lot to be desired. Now, I know they went with a lot of non-licensed music, like most places are doing, most games are doing, but you can't even really hear it in the background, and it doesn't really fit where you're the game itself. Throughout the game, you'll get phone calls from various members of your crew as the story progresses, and those are perfectly fine. It's just straight up dialogue. Alright, let's talk about controls and handling, because of course it's a racing game. Now, this is where I sort of lose it against games like Forza Horizon 2 and stuff like that. The handling in the game, and I know it depends on the car, and I know it depends, you can tune the car. You could put tires on that will grip the road or allow you to drift, or you can actually customize your car in the garages that you have to, grip the road better, drift better, and it'll send your car into some customizations. But I find the controls overall just a tad too twitchy for me for a game like this. I find myself smashing into walls a lot, which I don't do with other games, and I find that sometimes when you're trying to drift, which a lot of the objectives in the game as far as the story goes requires it, makes it difficult to do, and learning how to do those kind of things like drifting and like e-braking and stuff can be kind of a pain in the butt and takes some time. It really does. Now, once you get the hang of it, then it gets a bit better. But if I'm comparing this to other racing games, I find a game like Forza Horizon 2 to be a lot easier to handle. Now, part of driving around the city is finding other players outside of the story mode that you can challenge and race. This being a game that is always online, there are always people in your map. Those people are driving around in real time. Not like drivatars, not like anything like that. You can drive up to them and you can challenge them to a race, and you'll be racing them for real. The game menus will match you up with people. They'll show you who's in the game, and if you actually look at your map, you'll see them driving around. And if you want to go up and challenge them, you can. You can also get into an online road trip, so if you want to find or bring in a party of people and just kind of drive around and do the objectives, or drive around and race each other, things like that, you can do that as well. Now, as you can see here, the other big thing that Ghost Games really worked on for this version of Need for Speed is the customization you can do to your car. It's fairly deep. You can change paint, you can change wrap, so see those decals on the front of the car, you can make them however you want. You can add decals just like just like other games. You can do it on the sides, on the skirts, on the hood. You can change tire color, you can change rim color, you can change rims themselves, you can change rim size, and then you can get inside the engine and do all the customization there. You can buy parts, there's a little bit of customize you can do on a granular level, not quite as deep as like a Forza Horizon, but in a game like this it's not needed. But what you can do is not only granularly change, but you can also kind of change it in a overall arcing style, which will then kind of change the granular parts for you. And what's neat about doing it here is if you change things like the camber of your axles, if you change the width of your axles, if you do things like that, you'll see that what it looks like in real time as you're moving around the car. Now, some parts you purchase, and some you can unlock by doing some of those things around town that are the collectibles, the stuff that's not part of the story. There are free parts that you can find and pilfer around the map. So Need for Speed turns out to be a fairly gallant effort by Ghost Games. Not quite what I feel is a $60 experience, but something they can build on for future iterations. For me, I'd wait for it to go on sale, or if you have EA Access, you can get it for a discount and you still have that 10-hour trial, which will give you a chance to check it out for yourself and see if you like it. For me, it's just good, not great, and there's just something missing about it that I don't find missing in other games, especially if you're wanting me to put this up against something like Forza Horizon 2. I would almost pick that game 9 out of 10 times. Well, that's going to do it for our review of Need for Speed for the Xbox One and PS4. As always, please use the comments below if you agree or disagree with my review. If you got the game and you like it, if you've got the game and you don't like it, let me know why. Subscribe to our channel. The more subscriptions we have, the more we can do. Follow us on Twitter at OG_NL Gaming and on Twitch at OG_NL Gaming. And this will wrap up another Next Level Gaming review. So for the original Next Level Gaming, this is Mike Mullis, and as always, play on, gamers.